Namaste students, welcome to bio class. So in the previous session we have noted down about semi-technical description of flowering plants, and we have noted down what is the way of presenting the semi-technical description of flowering plants. Already we have noted down that we have to describe it in a particular manner or in a particular way. We have to describe it by describing the habit of a plant, by describing the vegetative characters of a plant, and about the floral characters of the plant. And after describing the habit, vegetative characters as well as floral characters, later on we have to represent the floral diagram and floral formula. And we have noted down some of the symbols that we mainly use to represent the floral formula. Okay. So in today's class we will take one of the family included under class Dicotyledonnae, and we will try to note down the semi-technical description of a flowering plant. Okay. So today we will write the semi-technical description of the plants that are included under family Solanaceae. So family Solanaceae is included under class Dicotyledonnae, or they belong to the class Dicotyledonnae. So Solanaceae family is commonly known as potato family. It is one of the large family including many plants, and it is also called as potato family. That indicates that there are various plants that are included under this family Solanaceae. So some of the examples may be tomato. Tomato plant is included under this family. Brinjal, potato, and even plants like datura. Then some of the medicinal plants like ashwagandha, chili plant, they are all included under this family. Okay, so there are many plants or genera that are included under family Solanaceae. So first we will note down the steps of semi-technical description of a flowering plant. What are the description that we have to give while noting down the semi-technical description of a flowering plant? As I told, whenever we describe a flowering plant, usually we will take the plant in front of us and we will hold the plant in such a way that the flower should face towards you, and the axis that holds the flower gives the position of mother axis. Okay, the axis that you hold the plant, the axis that bears the flower and flower is facing towards you, the axis that holds the flower forms a mother axis. So first you have to note down the position of mother axis, especially while representing the floral diagram. So before that we have to write down the other characteristic features like vegetative characters or floral characters. So first we will note down its distribution. So where are these plants mainly found? So this plant is, the plants that are included under family Solanaceae, they are widely distributed in tropic regions, subtropical regions as well as temperate zones. Okay, they are found in almost all the habitats including tropic, subtropic and temperate zone. Now, what is the habit of the plant? So habit is the form of a plant. So there are certain plants which are herbs, there are certain plants which may be shrubs, and there may be rarely very small trees. So that indicates that the members that are included under family Solanaceae mainly may be herbs or shrubs, and very rarely they may be small trees. Then stem of the plant. So stem of the plant. So for example, you might have seen chili plant, you might have seen tomato plant, right? Or brinjal plant. So how is the stem of a plant? It is herbaceous. Herbaceous, it is soft. They may be rarely woody. So very rarely some of the species may be woody. And stem is aerial. Aerial means it grows vertically upwards. Aerially upwards. It is erect. Stem is erect. Stem is cylindrical. Stem is branched. Just imagine or memorize the plant that you might have seen. Chili plant, tomato plant or brinjal plant. So they are herbaceous stem. Rarely they are woody. Aerial, erect, cylindrical, branched stem. And usually the stem may be solid or hollow, glabrous or hairy. For example, if you see the stem of the tomato plant or the brinjal plant, it usually has got small projections, hair-like projections. So stem may be hairy or it may be glabrous. Glabrous means shiny. Stem, surface of the stem is shiny. That is known as glabrous. So these are the description that we give for the stem of a plant. Then there are certain plants that are included under family Solanaceae. They may be underground stem. For example, potato. Potato has an underground stem. So these are the terms or terminologies that we use mainly to explain the vegetative characters like stem. And the root system. What type of root system? Usually the dicotyledonous plants have. Dicotyledonous plants generally have taproot system. Okay, so tap, you can also include the details of the root of the or root system of the plant. Then leaves. Leaves are found alternate. Leaves are alternate. What do you mean by term alternate? So you know that leaves are usually borne on the axis, right? On the axis, especially in the nodes. In each node there will be leaves. Leaves do not arise in internode. That you have to remember. So leaves usually arise in the nodal region. Nodal region are particular points in a stem where the leaves arise. Okay. So alternate position of leaves means in a stem, if one leaf arises, usually in alternate position of leaves means in each node only one leaf arises. If one leaf arises in one node, in the next node one more leaf arises, but that will be found in opposite position, that is alternate. Okay. For example, if this is a stem, if one leaf, this is the nodal region and this is the next nodal region, one leaf is found in one node, the next leaf is found in the next node but in the alternate position. So this angle, you know, in maths you have studied the alternate angle. The same way, in the alternate angle there will be leaves. So such a position or such a type of arrangement of leaf is known as alternate phyllotaxy or alternate arrangement of leaves. Leaves are very simple or rarely they may be pinnately compound leaves. So generally leaves are of two types. They may be simple leaves or compound leaves. So compound leaves are those leaves which usually have many leaflets. For example, curry leaf, neem leaf, the entire strand of leaf, that is a single leaf. So we call them as compound leaf. So each leaf has got many leaflets arranged on either side of the axis or a rachis. Okay, so such type of leaves are known as compound leaves. So the type of leaves that are present may be simple. Most of the plants have got simple leaves, but some have pinnately compound leaf. Then exstipulate. So exstipulate means X means do not. Stipulate, they do not have stipules. The leaves do not have stipules. So stipules are very small leaf-like appendages formed at the base of a leaf. Okay, small leaf-like appendages, usually pair of leaf-like appendages, very small leaf-like appendages that are formed at the base of the leaf. They are called as stipules. So here exstipulate indicates that stipules are not present. Then reticulate venation of leaf. Already you have studied in lower class that there are two types of venation found in leaves, parallel venation and reticulate venation. Parallel venation is that where the veins and veinlets are arranged parallel to each other, mostly seen in monocot leaves. Whereas in case of dicot leaves, the leaves have got veins and veinlets arranged like a network, highly branched and or profusely branched, and it is network like. Okay, so such kind of venation is known as reticulate venation. So these are the details of or the description that we are giving for the leaves. Next, floral characters. Floral characters. We have to describe, after vegetative characters, we have to describe about the floral characters. So among the floral characters, first we have to note down about the inflorescence. How is the inflorescence? So inflorescence may be solitary or it may be cymose. Solitary means single flower. Having single flower. Cymose is the type of inflorescence where the axis, floral axis has got limited growth and older flower is formed at the tip and the younger flowers are formed towards the base. Already we have discussed about two types of inflorescence, racemose and cymose inflorescence. So cymose inflorescence shows that the floral axis has got limited growth and Flower forms, the older flower is formed at the tip of the floral axis, and later on at the base of the floral axis new flowers are formed. So such a type of inflorescence is known as cymose inflorescence. Then coming to the flower. Flower is bisexual. You have to observe the flower and you have to note down whether the stamens as well as carpels are present. If both stamens and carpels are present, it is termed as bisexual. Then while holding the flower, you will come to know whether it can be, what is the symmetry of a flower, whether the symmetry is like radial symmetry or whether it is bilateral symmetry. If it is like radial symmetry of animals, usually we consider it as actinomorphic. Zygomorphic is almost similar to the bilateral symmetry. So in case of flowers of tomato plant, flowers of brinjal plant or chili plant, usually the flowers have got radial symmetry. That means in any plane, if you divide the flower, it gives two equal halves. So such a symmetry is known as actinomorphic. Okay. So flower is bisexual, actinomorphic. So after describing the inflorescence and the flower, we have to describe about each whorl of a flower. So first we will note down about the outermost whorl of a flower. You know that outermost whorl of a flower is known as calyx. Calyx. So observe the flower of chili plant or the tomato plant and note down how many sepals are present. Usually the members of family Solanaceae have flowers, and in their calyx usually there will be 5 sepals. And how are the sepals? Sepals are united. So what term we will give usually for united sepals? Gamosepalous. Then sepals are persistent. Persistent means even after fruit formation, sepals will be found attached to the fruit. For example, in tomato plant, you might have observed the tomatoes. Tomatoes will be having attached sepals. So sepals remain persistent in tomato. Okay, attached to the pedicel of a flower or attached to the stalk, the tomato will be having, the fruit tomato will be having sepals attached to it. That is known as persistent sepals or persistent calyx. Then type of estivation, valvate estivation. So we have noted down 5 different types of estivation. Valvate, twisted, then vexillary. So the different types of estivation we have studied. So type of estivation found here in the calyx is valvate estivation. Next, coming to corolla. Corolla consists of 5 petals. And how are the petals? Petals are united. 5 petals that are united. Okay. So what term we can give for petals that are united? We usually mention it as gamopetalous, where the petals are united. Type of estivation, valvate estivation. Okay, valvate estivation. So we have noted down different types of estivation, right? Valvate, twisted, then vexillary estivation, imbricate estivation. So different types of estivation we have studied, and already we have noted down about valvate estivation. Then androecium. Androecium is the third whorl of a flower, which consists of or which have the units known as stamens. So number of stamens present are 5, and the stamens are usually epipetalous. What do you mean by term epipetalous? You have to remember the terminologies while describing the flowering plants in a technical way or in a scientific way. So epipetalous means stamens are attached to the petals. Okay, stamens are attached to the petals. Just recall the terminologies that we have discussed in this chapter earlier. Okay, then gynoecium. Gynoecium is the innermost whorl of a flower. So gynoecium has bicarpellary syncarpous ovary. So what do you mean by bicarpellary? Gynoecium has 2 carpel. Bi refers to 2 carpel. Syncarpous, carpels are fused and ovary is superior. So hypogynous ovary. Ovary has superior position with respect to the other members of a flower or other whorls of a flower. Then ovary is bilocular, having 2 cavities. Inside the ovary there is ovarian cavity which has got 2 cavities, bilocular, or which is divided into 2 compartments. Then placenta is swollen. swollen and it has got many ovules. Placenta is swollen, has got many ovules. Next, coming to the fruit of the members of Solanaceae. So fruits usually may be berry or capsule. For example, you might have seen the tomato fruit, right? Tomato fruit. Scientifically, we call them as fruits. Okay. So tomato fruit is a kind of berry. And in case of plants like datura, datura produces a kind of fruit which is termed as capsule. So these are the different types of fruits: berry, capsule, pomes, etc. Then seeds. So seeds are many. If you just cut open the tomato or brinjal, if you just make a section or just cut the fruit and observe, there will be many seeds present. Many seeds present. That is mainly because there are many ovules present in the gynoecium. So you know that ovary will transform into fruit and ovule will transform into seed. So seeds found are many and all the seeds are endospermic. Endospermic means they have endosperm inside the seed. Okay, so this is how we describe the flowering plant in a scientific way. Okay, in a scientific way. So after noting down the description of a flower, brief description of a flower using some scientific language, we have to note down the floral diagram. As I mentioned earlier, before noting down the floral diagram, first you have to note down the position of mother axis. So this is the position of mother axis. Position of mother axis. So with respect to the position of mother axis, how are the sepals arranged? This is the outermost whorl sepal. Next whorl is petal. Next whorl is androecium and next whorl is gynoecium. Okay. So with respect to the mother axis, what is the position of sepal? What is the position of petal? What is the position of stamen or the androecium or gynoecium? That we have to note it down. So here, as per the description, you just observe the description, you know that the calyx has got 5 sepals. So these are the sepals, 5 sepals. Sepals are united. So this is a symbol that we use to represent the united sepal. United sepal. Then corolla, petals are 5. So inner whorl is corolla. So this is the whorl of corolla and it is the representation of petal. So this is the representation of sepal, this is the representation of petal. So how many petals are there? There are 5 petals. There are 5 petals. And the petals are united. So this is a symbol that we use. United symbol. Okay, united symbol, like union symbol. Union symbol. In maths you have studied about union symbol. The same way united symbol is represented like this. Then androecium. How many stamens are present? 5 stamens. And how are the stamens present here? It is epipetalous. It is epipetalous. What do you mean by term epipetalous? Epipetalous condition is the fusion of stamens with the petal. Stamens are united to the petal. It is known as epipetalous condition. Okay. Usually the filaments may be attached to the petals. So here filaments are attached to the petals. It is represented here. In the diagram it is shown that the filaments are attached to the petals. Then this is how we represent the stamens. Okay, stamens with filament and anther. This is the representation of filament. This is the representation of anther. Next, gynoecium. The innermost whorl is gynoecium. Gynoecium has bicarpellary syncarpous ovary. So here if you observe, it is bicarpellary. There are 2 carpels. The 2 carpels are fused together, that is known as syncarpous, and the ovary has got 2 locules. You can observe here these 2 are the locules. Placenta is swollen. This is the placenta which is swollen. Attached to the placenta there are many ovules. Okay, attached to the placenta there are many ovules. Then fruit, maybe berry. So we usually represent the position of mother axis, the position of the sepals in a calyx, petals in a corolla, and about the androecium, that is the position of stamens, and we also represent about the gynoecium in floral diagram. So what are the things that we have to note down in floral diagram? Position of mother axis, calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. So after noting down the floral diagram, we have to note down the floral formula. Floral formula. So we'll try to write the floral formula for family Solanaceae. Okay. So for writing the floral formula, you know that we use specific symbols. In the previous class, we have noted down what are those symbols that we use to represent the floral formula. So first we have to note down whether the flower, what is the symmetry of a flower. So here note down what is the symmetry of a flower. Symmetry of a flower is actinomorphic. So first represent the symmetry of a flower in a floral formula. So what is the symbol that we use for representing actinomorphic? Actinomorphic is usually represented by this symbol. Floral formula shows the flower is actinomorphic. So after noting down the symmetry, we have to note down whether the flower is unisexual or bisexual. If it is unisexual, whether it is staminate or pistillate. Staminate flower is the male flower, pistillate flower is the female flower. So here the flowers are bisexual. Flowers are bisexual. So note down the symbolic representation of bisexual. Bisexual is represented like this. Bisexual. Flower is bisexual. Then we have to describe or we have to note down the symbolic representation of each word. So first we have to note down about the calyx. So what is the symbolic representation of calyx? K. Calyx is represented by K. How many sepals are present? 5. 5 sepals. How are the sepals? Sepals are united. If the sepals are united, it has to be enclosed within the brackets. Sepals are united. Then corolla, denoted by alphabet C. How many petals are there? 5 petals. How are the petals? They are united. Petals are united. So it has to be enclosed within the bracket. Then androecium, represented by alphabet A. Androecium represented by alphabet A. How many stamens are present? There are 5 stamens. So whether they are enclosed within the bracket? No, they are not. Whether they are attached or united? No, they are not united. So we have no need of enclosing it in a bracket. Only if the units are united, then it has to be enclosed within the bracket. So and A5 represent that androecium has got 5 stamens. Then there is one condition known as epipetalous. So stamens are attached to the petal. So stamens are attached to the petal can be represented like this by an arc between androecium and corolla. Okay, stamens are attached to the petals. Epipetalous condition. Next, gynoecium represented by capital G. How many carpels are present? 2 carpels. So it is bicarpellary. And how are the carpels? Whether they are united or whether they are free. It is syncarpus. Syncarpus means united. So it has to be enclosed within the bracket. Okay. Gynoecium having 2 carpels. Carpels are united or syncarpus condition. And what is the position of ovary? Ovary is superior. So if the ovary is superior or hypokynous condition, usually line is drawn below G. That indicates that ovary is superior position. So this is the floral formula for family Solanaceae, which says that the flower is actinomorphic, bisexual, calyx having 5 sepals that are united, corolla having 5 petals that are united, androecium having 5 stamens, and the stamens are epipetalous, gynoecium is bicarpellary, syncarpus superior ovary. Okay, so this is about the semi-technical description of mainly the family Solanaceae. Okay. Next we will see what is the economic importance of the members of this family. Majority of the members of family Solanaceae are the source of food. Okay, they are the source of food. So the economic importance of Solanaceae may be source of food. Many members that are included under Solanaceae may be the source of food. They may be the source of spice. There are certain plants which may be source of medicine. And there are certain plants which are fumigatory plants. So examples for those plants which are the source of food under Solanaceae may be potato, tomato, brinjal, etc. Then members that are the source of spice may be chili. Members that are source of medicine may be ashwagandha plant. And there are plants named Atropa belladonna. So it is a source of medicine. Then fumigatory plant, for example tobacco. Tobacco plant is included under this family Solanaceae. So tobacco is a fumigatory plant. And there are certain plants which may be ornamental. So we grow the plants for the showy plant. We grow these plants especially in gardens. So these are the ornamental plants. For example, petunia. The plant named petunia is a ornamental plant that is included under family Solanaceae. So this is the economic importance of the members of family Solanaceae. They may be source of food, they may be source of spice, source of medicine, they may be fumigatory plants or ornamental plants. So next we have to discuss about a family that is included under class Monocotyledonnae.